This is the Honda Rebel 1100. My name is Ride with Ria and I own a Rebel 300. For those of you that are new to my channel, I'm trying to find my next motorcycle upgrade. I've already tried the Harley Iron 883 and the new Sportster S, as well as the Indian Scout Bobber 20, and a few more other bikes, so be sure to check out those videos. But in this video, I'm going to be reviewing and test riding the Honda Rebel 1100. I'll give you guys my first impressions and how it compares to the bike that I own, which is the Honda Rebel 300. You guys have been asking me to review the Rebel 1100, so finally, here's the video. Will this be my next motorcycle upgrade? Keep watching to find out. So this bike weighs 487 pounds, and that is the wet weight, which is not bad for an 1100cc engine, compared to my 300cc Rebel. And that weighs around 368 pounds, so this is a little over 100 pounds more for a lot more power. Now we're going to get into the specs of the bike. It's powered by a 1084cc liquid-cooled parallel twin engine with 85 horsepower and 72 foot-pounds of torque. It's got a 6-speed manual transmission, or the optional dual-clutch transmission, the DCT. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the manual transmission. It's got a seat height of 27.5 inches. The 1100 also has a lot of new tech features. It has 3 different riding modes: standard, sport, and rain, and it also offers cruise control. It also has this HSTC/wheelie control. So sorry guys, you're not going to be able to pull a wheelie on this one, although I've seen some people actually be able to pull it off. I think you can turn this on and off, but it basically limits the front end rise during acceleration. So when it detects that a wheelie is occurring, it intervenes. So it's a safety precaution, and yeah, this bike really needs it because the throttle is really sensitive, as I'll show you guys later in this video. It's got some pretty high performance suspension components. So the rear suspension has dual Showa shocks with 12.5mm shafts and a pressurized reservoir. At both ends, the preload can be adjusted to tailor the ride to the load and passenger conditions, and the rear preload adjustment is pretty broad, so it allows for a wide range of rider weights and preferences. And now that we've got some of the specs out of the way, let's get into the video where I do my ride test and review.
Okay, now on the road with the Honda Rebel 1100, just to test it out, get an idea of the bike, get familiar with it. I must say, first thing, it's really touchy. It's got an insane throttle response. Look at this. Wow. I mean, it really goes, which is pretty cool, pretty awesome, especially compared to the 300 and what I'm used to. The thing I don't like though is as soon as I release the throttle, I immediately slow down significantly, which kind of throws me off. It feels a little jerky. I feel like if I was a beginner on this, that's something that would just happen quite often. I wouldn't feel completely comfortable or in control. It seems like a little too much power if you're just starting out. But now that I'm more than just a beginner, I mean, I'm still technically a beginner. I've only been riding for around 2 years, but now that I'm more used to bikes and more comfortable on bikes, this is something I feel like I can handle. And if you hear an obnoxious bike, that's probably, in the background, that's probably my 300. I'm just kidding. No, I want you to go. I like the sound of my 300. So on the 300, I have a aftermarket exhaust on there from Kaufman's. On the 1100, I just have the stock exhaust, so it doesn't sound as cool. But wait, let's wait until we get to a red light so we can really like bring them out. And I want to compare the two, and I want to get that on camera. If that's okay with you? Okay, cool. So, but it's really cool to hear my 300 behind me, just the way it sounds, because you don't really get that perspective when obviously you're the one riding it. So it makes me really jealous actually. Like, it makes me appreciate the bike that I have a lot more because it just sounds really cool. Yeah, exactly. But of course, if I were to replace, get an aftermarket exhaust on this one, it would sound insane, because even though this is just the exhaust, even though this is just the stock exhaust, it still sounds super powerful. Like, I really like the power of this. So right now we're just in the standard mode. I think I'm going to try to see if I can switch it to sport. Can I switch it as we're riding? Oh, yep, sport mode. Yeah, you feel it a lot more. It's more responsive. It's fun. I think I'm gonna ride it in sport to our next destination. In terms of the foot peg positioning, it's still kind of somewhat mid controls, it's not too forward. It's similar to the 300. I like where it's at. Some people that are a bit taller have said that it's a little too crunched for them, so you might have to make some adjustments. I'm only 5'4", so this is actually quite perfect for me. The weight of it is really nice. It's only 487 pounds, but my goodness, this handles incredibly well. Incredibly well. You don't even feel the weight, honestly. So this thing really flies on the road, and doing some swivels is super fun, actually. This is really cool. Clutch lever is easy to pull in compared to the other bikes that I've tested. I must say it doesn't feel like a cruiser though, you know, compared to the other cruisers like the Harley I've been on, the Indian that I was on. This is much more nimble, my goodness. Compares a lot to the Harley Sportster S, honestly, the way that it feels, the way that it rides, the responsiveness. I understand why a lot of people really love this bike. Also, I'm not riding the automatic, the DCT right now, but it does come in that option. A lot of people own the DCT one and they say they love it, so that's pretty cool. It comes with that option. I can't even tell that I'm going that fast on this. It's such a smooth ride. I have no complaints, honestly. This is incredible. Aesthetically, you know, it looks very similar to the 300. It's just, you know, that clean, very modern looking, blacked out, beautiful cruiser, modern cruiser look. So if you're into that, yeah, I really like the look of the Rebels. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to this left lane real quick, and I'm gonna test this out. Holy crap! That was amazing. Did you see that? Okay, I'm testing out the emergency. Okay. Nice. There we go. Sorry about that. I kind of left you in the dust there. Poor little 300 couldn't give up with me. Just kidding. Hee hee hee.
Okay, time out real quick because I want to talk about my camera. In case you've noticed a quality improvement, I am now using the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, which I have on my helmet. I still am using the Ace Pro, just the regular one, in this video to do a little comparison of the quality. They're both incredible cameras with insane quality, so you can't really go wrong with either one, but I prefer the Ace Pro 2 just because the battery life is so much better and the low light for night riding. So yeah, I'm really excited about this camera. I can't wait to make more videos with it. And now we're gonna get back into the video. We're gonna go through some twisty roads, through the jungle, just test out a bunch of different terrains and see how the bike handles.
There, now it's on rain mode. So I'm switching to rain mode on the twisties because one, definitely got some wet pavement action over here and wet leaves. And then also just so I can better handle this because it's a bit touchy, like we've been saying. Hopefully that'll give me a better riding experience on the twisty roads. It wouldn't be a rear view video without the twisties. And by twisties, I mean up this Tantalus Drive. If you've seen my other riding rear view videos, you'll know and you'll recognize these roads. Be careful with my bike on these potholes, please. I mean, I'm okay because this is just a rental, but I'm like, wait, that's my actual motorcycle. The handling is spectacular on this, but it's so touchy that every time I release the throttle, I slow down so much, and it freaks me out. Woo! Yeah, much less responsive on the rain mode, but still pretty responsive. The suspension is nice. It's not too bad. I mean, you feel it, but it's not as bad as other bikes I've been on. It can handle pretty well. Also the incredible value, like it's so cost friendly, priced insanely well. I think this is like $9,900, and for the amount of power and handling and just features and things that you get for that price, nothing really beats this. this review is coming from someone that lives on an island where the max speed limit is 65 miles per hour, and that's on like the major highways. But in town, max speed limit is 45 miles per hour, so I don't really need something that has a lot of power. If you're riding somewhere where you're going to be on the highways the majority of your commute, then this is exactly the perfect bike. I would highly recommend it because it's going to be such a smooth, wonderful performance, and handling is going to be amazing. The power is all there, and it's light. I think this is such a great comparison too, going from this one back to my 300, because it makes me really love and appreciate that a lot more than previously when I was just when I have been riding it and haven't really been able to compare it to something with more power. Now, if I would have gotten the 500, would I have been content with that, and would I have not wanted to upgrade? Honestly, I would say I wouldn't want to upgrade from the 500, because I think that would have given me just enough power for me to be happy with it without wanting more, you know? So I'm pretty glad that I went with the 300, just because it allowed me to learn at a really safe level, and it wasn't enough power for me to be satisfied, so kind of hungry for more power, hungry for an upgrade. And this is the perfect opportunity for me to pick a bike that really suits me, my character, and what I'm looking for, you know. Because I genuinely think if I would have gone with the 500, I wouldn't need to upgrade, and there would be no point, and I'd still be happy with that. Like, I would be genuinely happy with a 500 too. So, but now that I have the opportunity to try a different type of bike, I think I'm gonna venture out and try something different. But I really appreciate the 500 and the 1100 options. I think the 1100 is a really great bike. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about it except the fact that it's just a bit sensitive, a bit too much throttle response. Woo! There's that stick that just hit me. Did you see that?
It hit me because you swung it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I had a feeling that was happening. I was hoping I was gonna hit it high enough so that you would pass through without it coming back and hitting you, but my bad. It's got great suspension. Yeah, it does. No, enough said. I mean, truly, there's, you know this road, if you've seen my rear views, this road is littered with potholes, and although it feels like I might be riding a horse sometimes because it's just extremely bumpy, I don't feel it nearly as much as I do on other bikes, so it handles pretty well. It's got pretty great suspension.
All right, and now it's time for the rear view. For those of you who haven't seen any of my other videos, this is where I give a score rating out of 10 for different categories on how this bike performs. So the first category we have is power, and I'm going to give this bike a 7. It's not quite in the league of sport bikes or larger cruisers, but for a cruiser style bike, it's definitely punchy, but it's not pushing the kind of horsepower you'd expect from a larger V-twin engine. Next category, we have handling, and I'm going to give it a 7.5. It's a bit more refined in handling compared to the other bikes that I've tried. It has a light and maneuverable chassis for its size, and with the benefit of the low seat height, it's really smooth, and it's a cruiser, so it's not going to carve up the corners like sport bikes, but it's great for balance and comfort, stability, it's nimble, and especially for a cruiser with a larger engine. So the dual sport suspension setup is pretty impressive, and it gives you that extra bit of stability when needed, especially at the highway speeds. Next category we have is braking, and I'm going to give it a 7. The brakes are decently powerful and offer good feel, but they're not as aggressive as something like the Sportster S or the KTM Duke 390 that I've tried. The dual discs up front provide good stopping power, and I love the ABS system that adds that extra layer of safety, especially on wet or slippery roads. Next category is if can, if no can, no can, which basically means can I flat foot it? I'm talking about the seat height here, and this comes in at 27.5 inches. So I'm going to give it a 9. It's not as low as the Rebel 300, but it's on the lower end of seat heights in terms of cruisers. Next category is muscle mommy. Is it too heavy for me to ride? Absolutely not. It comes in at a great weight of 487 pounds. For a cruiser style bike, that's on the lighter side. So the weight is really well distributed, meaning you don't really feel it it when you're riding. So I'm gonna give this a 7.5. All right, now we got couch potato or taco mode, and that just basically means the comfort level of the bike. I wanna give this an 8.5 because it's pretty comfortable overall. It's definitely built for a more relaxed ride with its ergonomic setup. It's not the absolute plushiest compared to larger touring bikes, but it's solid for most riders looking for a comfortable everyday cruiser. Now, practicality. This category specifically talks about how practical the bike is to own for me personally. So this may be different for everyone. For me, I'm going to give it a 7.5, and that's mainly just because of where I live and the speed limits. I realized I don't really need too much power because the highest speed limit is like 65 miles per hour. So I'm not really looking for something that's going to be insanely powerful. I'd honestly be really satisfied with the Rebel 500. But if you live somewhere where you're going to be commuting on the highway a lot, the 1100 is absolutely perfect. So for me personally, I'm giving it a 7.5. You might score this a little higher for yourself. Now on to techie bits, meaning all the tech that it offers and the features and things. I'm going to give this a 7. It offers a solid amount of modern tech, like the ride modes and the traction control, but it doesn't really go as far as the bikes like the Sportster S or even the KTM Duke 390 in terms of like fully integrated systems and advanced displays. It's a good balance for a cruiser, especially considering the focus on simplicity and comfort and accessibility, but it doesn't really quite hit the high-tech bar. Next category is coolness, and that's the look and feel of the bike. I'm going to give it a 7. It's got this modern cruiser look with clean lines, a really minimalist design. It's got that badass cruiser vibe without being too in your face. So it's more of a modern take on the cruiser category, which gives it some cool points, but it's not really eye-catching, you know, as some of the more distinctive or edgy designs. And now for vibes, is it silly and fun and vibey? I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Honestly, it grew on me. The cruiser economics make it kind of chill, but it's surprisingly punchy. I think it's because of the parallel twin engine. It gives it this fun, torquey feeling that I did not expect from a cruiser. It's not wild or in your face or anything like some other bikes, but it's far from boring. All right, for modability, I'm going to give it a 7. The Rebel 1100 is still a bit newer, and it's got a solid amount of aftermarket support already, so especially for a cruiser, there's things like exhausts, handlebars, seat grips, mirrors, performance upgrades like air filters or tuning, but you won't have as many old school traditional parts like you'd see like a Harley or something more classic. But that being said, it still lends itself to this like minimalist approach, so simple mods can really make a big difference without really taking away from the bike's overall aesthetic. And finally, we have value. I'm going to give this an 8.5 because it offers a lot of bike for the price. For around 10K, you're getting a bike that has solid performance, is comfortable, and has some advanced features that you don't always see at this price point. Also, Honda's known for its reliability, so with this purchase, you're also getting a really low maintenance bike, and that's likely to last longer than some of its competitors. Now, with the final score in, that brings the total to a 91, which is the highest score so far. And are we really surprised? I feel like a lot of you guys knew that this was gonna happen. Now, I want to give you guys more personal thoughts on my entire experience riding this bike. Although it got such a high score, I'm still not sure if it's going to be the next bike that I upgrade to. And that feels weird to say because I honestly had no complaints riding it, except for a few minor things, but it just didn't feel like the bike for me. And that could be for a variety of different reasons. I think one mainly being maybe because I'm used to having the Rebel 300, and now that I'm getting introduced to so many different types of bikes from different brands that I want to venture out and try something new. Or it could also be that I realized I don't really need something too powerful, especially for where I live and the speed limits like I mentioned earlier in the video. I don't really need a performance heavy bike where I'm going to be carving up the streets. I know that's fun and maybe eventually I'll get there, but currently right now I still want to build up my skill set before I get a bike where it's going to challenge me or encourage me to do some things that I might not be ready for. And I've seen some of the comments on my other ride test videos where people are saying I'm not ready for an upgrade and they're commenting on my riding skills and abilities, and I see where they're coming from. I get it, okay? I'm still super new and I have so much more to learn, and I have been reflecting on my riding journey in general and whether or not I really think I should be upgrading at this point. And this video in particular really made me appreciate my Rebel 300 a lot more. Maybe it was because I was riding alongside with it. To me, when I went from the 1100 back to the 300, it felt like I was riding a Grom. It was so fun, actually, and I really want to push this bike to its 10th tenths and have just the most amount of fun I can with it before I fully say goodbye and upgrade to a new bike. But then I think about how it's huffing and puffing on the highway when I try to go above 55 miles per hour, so I've got to give credit to the 500 and the 1100. But to kind of summarize things, things, I'll put it this way. Riding the Honda Rebel 300 feels like slipping into your favorite pair of jeans. Reliable, comfortable, and with just enough stretch to remind you that it's got a bit of youthful rebellion in it. Or it's like a goldfish in a fishbowl. Happy to swim around in circles, but it's never going to win any races. The Rebel 1100 is like a bouncer at a nightclub. Big, intimidating, and yet you still somehow feel safe around it. It's got the muscles to throw you out of the club, but it's just as happy to let you in for a drink. It's surprisingly nimble for something that looks like it could flatten a small building, and it makes you feel like a secret agent. Cool, calm, and completely untouchable. So I hope those made sense and gives you something to think about. I really enjoyed this video and riding the Rebel 1100, so thank you guys so much for suggesting that I try this one out. And although I'm unsure of where my upgrade journey is at the moment, I still find it really fun to try out different types of motorcycles. So if you see me doing that, just know that it could be for my next upgrade, it could just be for fun. I really enjoy this, and you guys have still recommended a few bikes that I've yet to try out, so I'm really looking forward to that. I think riding these bikes have been so much fun, and I've learned so much, and it's improved my riding skills. So keep suggesting bikes if you want to see me ride them. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.